illegals who attempt to take over their Texas farms. One of President Trump's major selling points during his campaign was that he would slow down illegal immigration that is streaming into the country. Trump promised in his campaign to build a wall on the southern border to stop the dangerous illegals from sneaking in. The border is just too big to keep an eye on without some finding their way in one way or another. The border states have the most to gain from Trump's promise, but until that time comes and the wall goes up, it is up to the local population to protect their homes and families from the dangerous criminals. Thankfully, many of the people are armed and will not hesitate to protect themselves. They realize there is always danger present and have come up with many methods to stay safe. One cowboy has not forgotten the ways of the Old West and has decided to fight back hard against the dangerous cartels that bring their drugs across the border. According to U.S. Herald, perhaps the two things illegal criminal aliens should never attempt to do, confront a veteran or attempt to intimidate a Texas cowboy, both will inevitably prove to be a big mistake, in that both those groups know how to handle themselves and more importantly how to handle firearms. A lesson that the Mexican drug cartels who operate between the borders of Mexico and Texas are learning the hard way is that Texas has a long and fabled history of dealing with outlaws, Indians, and even the entire Mexican army. That Wild West persona isn't something conjured up in Hollywood. It's real and perhaps the only true Americana still left where an individual can fly that Lone Star flag as high as Old Glory because Texas is the only state in the Union that was once a sovereign nation. With that acclaimed and historical individuality, dealing with Mexican drug dealers is simply an extension of that legendary history. Moreover, Texas is actually at its best when faced with a threat. History once again records concerned Texans coming together in a spirit of unity and fighting for its sovereignty and independence. There is now a volunteer group of concerned citizens called the Texas Border Volunteers who are helping the state's Texas ranchers keep the borders secure as they aid our U.S. border agents in tracking down and apprehending aliens who cross the borders illegally. The volunteer group was founded by Dr. Vickers and his wife who've owned their ranch for over 30 years and have personally witnessed the mayhem created by marauding illegal aliens trespassing in the dead of night on his property and the risk that he and his wife face nightly. We're very vigilant and we realize that a lot of the people coming through are gang members, criminals, and with that we've got dogs to alert us here on the ranch. My wife, in particular, depends on the dogs, especially when I'm not here, he said. He continued, "We've had dead bodies show up from time to time, it's pretty disturbing. But it's something we've learned to live with." Texas has never been one to back down from a fighter and will likely continue to stay that way. It's just in their blood to fight back against the tyranny and dangerous outlaws who are constantly threatening their way of life. The rest of the country could learn a thing or two from the Lone Star State. Perhaps if the other states looked at Texas as an example, they could avoid the major threats facing them. Unfortunately, as long as Democrats have a say in many other states, they won't have the sense to stand up and fight to protect their homes and loved ones. This is why Americans need to arm themselves and always be at the ready. If people knew how to protect themselves and their property, there would be no need to rely on the government to do it. Did the Cowboys do the right thing or should they have left it to the proper authorities? Sound off in the comments below and be sure to share this story around so others can decide for themselves.